Hey everybody, it's Rob again. It's time for another member talk, and we're excited that you joined us today. We have a special guest, and I know I say that all the time. We have a special guest, but this person is special. If you pay attention to any of the vlogs that are out there, any of the websites out there pertaining to funeral service, especially on social media, you're probably going to know this person. Coming to us from Michigan today is Kari Northey. Hello, Kari. How are you?
Hey guys, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're excited to get you on here. This is the first time that you and I've actually spoke, and so it's a pleasure to meet you and to speak with you. I've been following you for a while, and just wanted to get you on here and talk a little bit and get your thoughts on some things. So thanks for coming
Perfect.
out. Yeah.
Of course.
So let's just dive right in. Kari, tell us, you've got I don't know what, 3, 4 YouTube things going on with the 2 minutes on and the tour of the embalming rooms and the coffee with Kari. You've got all that going on. Where did this come from? Where was this spark to say, I want to put myself onto YouTube and I want to tell and dispel the myths about funeral service?
I always joked and kind of made fun of people who said I want to be a YouTuber. And I came to a point at a couple years ago that I was at this lull, and I think it was that funeral director rut. Like you need something to spark your passion again. And my husband said, why don't you answer some questions for some of our family and friends on Facebook or something? Like try a video, try a live Facebook video, which is terrifying the first time you do anything live because you don't know what to expect. What if nobody shows up? Because you watch that little eyeball number go up or down, and then if it goes up and then it goes down again, you're like, what? They didn't like what I was saying. Like it's such a mental game. Now it doesn't bother me. I could care less. But those first couple, I posted a post on my Facebook and said, what do you want to know about the funeral business? You know, there's some anonymity, not anonymity, but there's some safety in just typing a question and not having to actually ask it out loud. Because if you were in front of a lot of your family and friends even, they're not going to ask some of these questions that are maybe serious and deep-rooted in something to you. And so I posted this and I got about 15 responses. So I did 15 live Facebook videos to answer each of them. Well, then a few people started watching it, and then I got a few requests saying, hey, I want to share this. Well, I didn't want to make all my Facebook public, and so I said, well, maybe I'll just put them up onto YouTube. I had no idea how any of YouTube worked. I hadn't really ever watched, I wasn't a YouTube watcher,
Right.
But I started a channel, I posted them, and I thought, okay, there they are. Well, then people started subscribing, and I'm like, 10 people are subscribing to me, honey. Like, what do I do? And I remember very clearly, it was in July. I was headed to Chicago on this trip, and I'm watching it like a hawk, like my Instagram and my YouTube, and like people are finding, like, how are they finding me? What is this? It just was so interesting, the organic nature of somebody finding my video, like in all of the videos in the whole universe of videos, how are they finding my one little video? And so I started responding to comments, and people would say, well, what about a video on this? What about a video on this? And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do another video. And so I do more videos and post them, and it just started growing and growing. And I would hit peaks where I would think, this is too much. Like, I could just spend all my time doing this between editing and some research or traveling to go do a video to even, an hour away to a funeral home or something. It just seemed to be a little more time consuming. But then as I would produce more people would dive in. And so it just kept organically growing. And maybe it's the people pleaser part of me that I'm like, I can't not respond to a comment. I can't not do a video somebody asks for. So it just kept growing. And then some of these the 2-minute video series. So every Tuesday is a 2-minute video on a term or something within the business, just to define it quickly. And somebody had said, your videos are too long. I need a shorter video to watch. Okay, well, what do I do? And I don't remember where 2-Minute Tuesday came from, but that kind of sparked. And I said, well, last year, 2019, I had challenged that I would do 40 2-minute videos, and I did one every week. So I did 52 2-minute videos, and it's continued this year. Every Tuesday has been, for the last year and a half now, a 2-minute video.
Right.
And the ideas just keep coming, and someone will ask me, like the other day, well, what's a trade embalmer? How have I not done a 2-minute on the word trade embalmer or direct cremation? Some of the basic terms that I use that I've never actually quickly defined in a 2-minute video. I ask students, in my student group that I mentor, hey, what terms do you want me to define to give you a different version of the answer that maybe will resonate with you? Because we all have learned something that we just can't figure out how to make it click. But maybe if somebody else says it or shows it in a different way, you're able to remember it more clearly as a student. And so I did a bunch of those videos, and things just keep growing. I would do 1 or 2 live videos. Well, then I came up with Coffee with Kari. And then, so every Wednesday I go live. The video, right now I have a Sunday series they're posting on Sundays where a different viewer from across the country. So I'm doing, one for every state. And so that's a limited series, but it's still almost a year long that they get to ask me 3 questions. And somebody who's maybe been watching me now for 3 years, we get to meet, quote unquote, on a Zoom video. And so I get to have a face to whoever this person is that has been posting. And it's been really interesting. So it just organically grows. And the pandemic has really put a kibosh on a lot of some of the travel videos and reaching out, but it also then created videos about the pandemic that we could share, kind of this glimpse into some of the forgotten frontline people that we are as the funeral directors. So I was able to hopefully shed a little light onto that as well. But it's been just this organic growth and continued overwhelming at times growth of the videos and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the imagination that goes into it just to come up with the content itself is tremendous. I mean, it's kind of like you're a walking textbook. You turn the page and, oh, here's a new topic, and you turn the page and here's a new topic. And there's so much information that's out there. And I love the fact that you're being totally transparent with it and putting it out there, and putting it out there in a way that is not sugarcoating it, but just telling it for what it is. Some of the videos I've watched that you've done, I kind of sit back at first and be like, is somebody going to not be excited about hearing this? But the reality is, this is what we do. And we shouldn't sugarcoat it. We shouldn't be non-transparent with it. I heard in one of your interviews one time, somebody had approached about saying, stop telling all of our secrets. But we don't want to be a secretive society. We want to be a transparent and let people know that this is what funeral providers do for the public.
Well, and for too long, a big thing I talk about is customer experience, and the fact that there is a customer experience that's lacking within the funeral business. No funeral director is going to say, well, I don't give the best customer experience ever. Nobody's going to really say that. But the fact that I get hundreds of emails from people saying, I could not ask my funeral director this question, means that a relationship was not built that could have been built, because maybe someone was too standoffish, they were too businesslike, they just weren't approachable, whatever that situation, someone had a question and they weren't able to ask the person in front of them. So a week later, or sometimes 20 years later, they now have a platform they can ask this question to someone. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I don't know for sure 100% why your mom had a bruise on her head 20 years ago, or somebody was swollen, or the discoloration, or whatever the situation, but I can give you some maybe theories that are logical as to why something like that would have happened. And I get stories from people saying, my mom has been in this stuck stage of grief since my dad died 15 years ago. Yeah. You just answered a question, and she now is so at peace with whatever the situation, because people did not have somebody to ask that to, or didn't feel comfortable enough doing it. Or I get people saying, hey, this happened. Was that legal? financial situations, contract situations, just different things. And sadly, some of it's not. It's, if I'm always like, if that's exactly how you're telling me, all I can tell you is this is the law. If you feel that it was outside that, you need to go approach somebody at the state level, or you need to report it or do something about it. And I have people report things to me and I'm like, oh my goodness, how is that happening? But sometimes it's also perspective that I say, did you think of this? Oh, I didn't even think of that. Maybe that is what happened, where we jump to conclusions about businesses or about people, and maybe there's just a rational answer rather than pointing that finger and putting blame on somebody. So just sometimes talking it out has, swayed people in the better direction than, hey, let's go sue somebody because we think it was wrong. So a lot of different discussions that have gone through. One of my biggest from the get-go was, I'm not showing deceased. I would never, I'm never showing deceased. I don't sensationalize. I'm not going to put this, not just sugarcoat, but glitter sugarcoat, where I'm trying to entice people by, ooh, look at this, or ooh, gory, or anything. Like, that's not what we do. What we do is about. And so I don't want to use that as a draw for people. I'm sure I could have done that and, got a much bigger viewership quicker. But to me, that's never been what it's about. I want people to know that funeral directors are, can be these honest, normal people. And what we do, there's a lot of value to, because as I tell people going into the business, you only see about 20% of what a funeral director does. If you attend a funeral or if you attend a visitation, you didn't see the 80% behind the scenes. Well, people need to know that you're writing a check to a funeral home for that 80% behind the scenes, and that there's a lot of work going on you never are seeing. But you have to understand it's there, and that students going into the business have to understand that's there. And that's a huge part of my viewership and people that I work with as students. They're interested in it. They end up landing on my videos, or Brian and Ryan from Undertaking the podcasts, or, Caitlin's videos, or Joelle or Lauren, or anybody's platforms that are out there on social media. And they have to understand that it might be enticing, but you need to know the big picture of what we do, not just, the sparkly part. Or the warm and fuzzies, as I call it.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I love that you dig deep down into it. And I think you can judge that, how well that's going with the amount of viewership that you now have. I mean, you started with 10, like you said, 10 subscribers. And fast forward, a year, 2 years, you're over 50,000 now?
Yeah, it's been 3 years, and I'm at 53,000. So, wow. I don't even know what number of views. I think it's at like 6, 7. I don't even know. It's at a lot of million. My number one video is at like 1.5 million, and 0.3 for the second one. So I have some videos that have been viewed a lot, and then the others that are, pretty consistently a couple thousand and such. So it's kind of all over the board. There's no rationale to what videos people watch a lot of. I could put every hashtag name tag in it, and there's no way I can figure out what, will go big. It's the whole algorithm to YouTube is insane, and I will never understand it. But it is, people do want to know, whether they want to know for positive or negative. One of my most controversial videos was talking about handling of people who are deceased or obese. And I got a lot of negative just talking about it. There was no judgment, but it was a lot of negative. I never expected it. So it's some of the videos I learn a lot about maybe who's viewing or why they're viewing, or some of the pain or anger that kind of just exists. And unfortunately, sometimes putting a video out opens a door to someone being able to share their feelings on a bad experience about funerals, or somebody that they were, upset with, or unspoken grief, or, maybe they themselves are obese and they don't like the fact that changes protocol when the person dies. I don't know, but it opens a lot of doors of conversations that I didn't expect. I think as much feedback on some of those as there was.
Well, having that conversation certainly, and I'm sure you can attest to that, having that conversation ahead of time certainly alleviates a lot of issues that take place after death has occurred, where a family will walk in, they have an expectation of what they think is going to happen. Maybe that's based off of what's happened in the past. Maybe it's based off what they saw on TV, but now they're getting told that what their expectation was is totally different. So it does irritate people. I'm assuming as well, you probably will get many comments from other providers, funeral providers, that are, you shouldn't talk like that, or you shouldn't do this or that, or that's not how it's actually done. But, it is what it is. I mean, put the information out there, and it's obvious in that amount of growth that the thirst for that knowledge is there. It's not just curiosity seekers. It's actually there. I mean, you've been in this for 18 years, I guess, or 25 years, you said?
Yeah, I mean, since I was 16, I've worked in the business. I've been licensed 18 years. And so a very long time. I've been around and seen a lot and done a lot. Obviously, scratching the surface. I feel like we always are scratching the surface of what there is out there when it comes to funerals and caring for the deceased, but enough to know a few things, I guess.
Yeah. I'm 30 years in myself, and it's like, the first 20 previous to internet, for that matter, well, maybe not that long, maybe the first 15, but anyway, previous to internet, what did you have to learn from? You had textbooks that were written 20, 30 years ago with, black and white photos, but there was always that question of why and how, and now there's people that are coming on, some that you've mentioned, yourself included, that are coming on and doing these vlogs and podcasts and everything that are there just to have that conversation, as our tagline says, to join the conversation. And that's really our goal with Member Talks. I know that's your goal with what you're doing there. So commendable, very commendable what you're doing. And we're excited to be with you to do this. I obviously we're not at the same caliber, but that's not our goal. Our goal is just to put the information out. And so glad that you're doing what you're doing and sharing that. What do you have anything that you can share with us? Any ideas of upcoming stuff that you might want to try, or topics that you might want to try and talk about?
I'm going to be I'm going on another water cremation facility tour. People are really interested in alkaline hydrolysis and kind of the future of things that are to come when it comes to disposition. Composting is a huge conversation. So all of these things that are on the, I think, horizon or in the future for the business, people are really interested in. They're interested in other options for themselves. A lot of dispelling of options that are not reality, like the burial pod. That has been a big thing that I've been trying to just put, okay, let's ignore the chatter and the white noise, and let's look at reality, and let's look at actual things that you can choose from. So it's been something. I want to get back out and do more choice school tours, but right now everybody's online still. So that has been kind of locked down, but I would really like to get into religions and really dive into more of that. But those are going to be, finding churches, synagogues, places that allow me in and to educate me and allow me to video. And that's going to be a challenge. And so working on some of that is something I want to do next. And that's going to be a lot of time consumption, but it'll get there. You wouldn't believe the list of video requests. It is unbelievable. And people say, you haven't done my video yet. And I'm like, if you only knew. But the thing is, it's like this rabbit hole. You do one video, and then it sparks this like, oh my gosh, I could do this, and this video just off of this video. And so then you get over to the side, and then you're like, oh, I got to get back to this one because that's where I'm supposed to be going. And so it is just this snowball. I thought I would run out of material within a couple months. what is there really to talk about? It's just never ending. The things that connect to what we do, wills, lawyers, florists, all of the businesses we interact with that people want to know things about. And so, getting the information, lining up the interviews, and then passing that on, it's so important, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of editing. And this pandemic has really hurt some of my time to be able to put into it, because I'm more mom right now than I am work from home, Kari. So that has definitely been a challenge as well. But, a lot of what I do, people say, well, how can I do something for my own funeral home? Like, I love what you're sharing. Can I share your videos? I'm like, you can. Have you thought of doing some of your own? Well, what do you mean? Like, if you have a Facebook, it's very easy to just pick one day a week, like a big Talk of the Town Tuesday or something. Just take your phone, go down to the coffee shop, go to the florist, go wherever and say, hey, if you call and order your flowers for a funeral, you may be talking to Mary. Mary's the local florist. Mary, how did you get into this? And do a 3-minute interview with Mary for your Facebook, or talk to the sexton who digs the graves. Like, highlight some of the people in your town so that people understand who's caring for their loved ones in a big picture. Or go off the chart, go down to the police station. Hey, if you call in and you talk to, the dispatcher, this is who you're talking to. If you, just all these things are, hey, it's Tuesday morning down at the ambulance. Here's who's hanging out in the shop, and bring them donuts and just chat with them for a couple minutes, or, just begin these conversations. And it's a way, you don't have to just join the Lions Club or the Rotary or something. This is your way of connecting with your community in different ways. Or, Pastor Joan came to town. She's new this week at the Methodist Church. If you see her in town, make sure you say hi. Here's Pastor Joan. Hi, Pastor Joan. It doesn't take a lot of effort. It's something we are doing. We just have to put ourselves in front of a camera to do it, which is not comfortable to most, 65-year-old getting ready to retire funeral directors. But that's why maybe you're part-time, I don't know, Tiffany, the 22-year-old who comes in and sets up your refreshments. Hey, Tiffany, do you want to go out and do this a couple days a week, and I'll pay you, and it's going to be an extra revenue for you, and you help our business. So it's thinking outside the box and in a different way, but it's huge when it comes to social media, to do those things. And, it can change the face of your business by those few steps.
And there's so many people that have hands in the funeral. So often we get our blinders on, and as funeral directors, it's all up to us. We've got to do it all. But the people that you mentioned, when you really start to think about it, the people that are out there in the community that are supporting your families and supporting your funeral home, like you said, the ministers, the police, all the different people have a part. The locksmith, there's one. Go talk to the locksmith. He's the guy that's going to come out and change the locks on the door because the person, passed away, and we don't know who's got his keys.
Right.
So, those are just easy examples. And I love the idea of doing that talk around Tuesday or whatever you called it.
Talk of the Town Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah.
I did one of the things when I go to talk to mortuary schools. That's part of one of the presentations that I do, and talking about, and every day of the week I had a different name to it or something, like talking about your staff one day, just highlighting a member of your staff. Think of all your part-time staff, your removal staff, your office staff. I mean, you could do, one person a month, and there is your whole year, 12 different staff members. I'm sure everybody can figure out 12 different staff members between spouses or helpers or, whatever. It can easily grow if you start thinking about it in a different way, and you can easily do it.
Isn't it exciting to go to mortuary schools and talk to the students there and hear what is going on in their world with their ideas of how they want to come out of mortuary school and change it. I was that way myself when I first came out of mortuary school, but it was just exciting to hear some of the ideas that come from there and what they want to do. Hopefully we're at a point where we are starting to realize that this next generation coming up has some great ideas, and we need to start implementing them if we're going to survive as funeral professionals.
Well, and they are. I have a group on Facebook. It's called Funeral Directing 101, and it's all pre-mortuary students, mortuary students, apprentices, and it's, you know, helping them figure out what school they want to go to, and, you know, them being able to chat with each other about all these things. And, hey, what are you guys buying for clothes to go to school? Do you want to sell your books? You know, just kind of a platform. But it's hearing from them firsthand what their challenges are. And some of them are just having to struggle trying to find a shadow opportunity. Hey, I've never gone into a funeral home without just attending a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Got to do that before you go off to mortuary school. Let's figure that out. And helping kind of just encourage them where maybe their families are not encouraging this job, or their friends are not encouraging this job, and saying, you can do this, go get a shadow opportunity. Or I've helped some people connect with opportunities for apprenticeships or shadows if they're running into roadblocks. They've got to do the work themselves, but if they've put it in and they're not finding it, it's helping them, because that's one challenge they are running into. And I'm finding they're not getting the opportunities just to see what we do. So for all the licensed people, let the students in and help them. We can't get their passion grown if they don't get an opportunity. So that is a huge thing that I see with them, because a lot of them watch my videos and then they get over into the group, and like 2,500 people in this group of people wanting to get into the business and such from 32 different countries. Mind you, I just counted that the other day, like people from other countries and learning how they're going to school and learning to be funeral directors. That's crazy. But it's just seeing those challenges, and it's definitely a different ballgame with people getting into it. A lot more women, a lot of challenges there that women are facing, non-binary, you know, just the gender discussion and things that a lot of people have never had to have discussions on in this business before now. Like, this is a now thing, and nobody teaches us how to be business owners or be funeral directors with all of the changing times. So I think it's older generations having to kind of be retrained in a lot of ways at this stage, which is hard on that side of it, let alone mixing composting and water cremation and, you know, the funeral side of it. So it's definitely a different ballgame now.
Yeah, it is. And it's exciting to see it changing. I'd like to, excuse me, see additional changes. You mentioned clothing in your talk there a second ago, and that's a conversation that we were having here in Washington recently, and it's something that I haven't really let the cat out of the bag just yet with it, but we're working towards something. But clothing, especially for women, clothing in the funeral service is difficult. And men's are the same way. I mean, it's not, you don't want to just put a suit on and go out there. You need to have, with what we carry with us all the time. And, you know, I mean, I remember one time I reached into my pocket, my coat pocket. I pulled out a casket key, a little bottle of holy water, a packet of tissues, some hand sanitizer. I'm thinking, how do I carry all this stuff? You almost need like those tactical military pocket things all over the place.
Fanny pouch is what we need. We need funeral director fanny packs. I think, is it Brian and Ryan from Undertaking? They have a fanny pack on their merchandise site for sale, and I'm like, you know, we almost need those that are like suit material, tweed, you know, pinstripe, that we can put all our junk in that we do have to carry. A lot of women's suits don't even have pockets.
Well, and that's the thing is, and that's where our conversation had started here in Washington was, look how difficult it is to carry all that stuff in a suit coat. Now, imagine you're wearing some sort of like dress or, something, whatever it is you're wearing. How do you do that when they don't make that for women's clothing? We need to be thinking that kind of stuff. And how do we get a clothing supplier that can provide that for us as well?
Which is I think it's a great conversation. And, there's still funeral homes that are forcing the women to wear skirts and nylons and filled shoes. I'm sorry, but unless somebody's paid me to wear nylons, which cost, $5 to $8 a pair, and they run as soon as you have to crawl in the flower van to grab something.
Yep.
There's no way. Yeah. So those are little things that are definite in need of change for sure.
Yeah. Well, we're moving in the right direction, I think. I think that it starts with having a conversation, which sparks the ideas, which sparks the people that are going out and using those ideas to build a product that is going to be beneficial to everybody. So again, I'm just thankful that we've got people like you that can come on and talk about that and be those conversation starters to get that thought process going.
No, I think it's good, and I always speak my mind, so it's I don't hold back very often, sadly, or for good and bad, I guess.
Well, so we've talked a lot about it. We've hinted around about it. You've got a YouTube channel. I don't know if you've got multiple YouTube channels or if it's one that you can get multiple different episodes on, but you've got a YouTube channel. Tell us where it is. How do we find you? What are we looking for to be able to subscribe and to be one of those 53,000 plus subscribers where we can hear this and see this from you on a daily and weekly basis?
Of course. So if you go to YouTube, you just type in Kari, Kari, the Mortician, and that'll pull up my page. I think we're over 450 videos maybe. I'll have to look at the number for sure, but it's a lot. It's a lot of videos, a lot of old ones where, I didn't know how to hold the phone correctly and in the right direction. I still get comments on that, but that's okay. The content is still there up till now. And I just did a coffee with Kari this morning. So it's constantly about 3 or 4 videos a week being posted. My website is karinorthey.com, where it links different articles I've written, different podcast episodes I've been a guest on, and coffee with Kari mugs you can buy, just all sorts of things. And then Kari@karinorthey.com is my email. So it's all pretty simple, just my name, or Kari the Mortician on Facebook as well. There's a business page and everything. And for students, Funeral Directing 101 is the Facebook student group that you can join and fill out the questionnaire, and I'll push the admit into the group button. Right now we're doing giveaways, a lot of giveaways this month from a lot of people just to support students, because we're recognizing that it's challenging to be online and to not get to go knock on a funeral home door to try and find an apprenticeship right now when we have the pandemic. And so wanted to support them. So right now is giveaway time at the Funeral Directing 101 student group. So that's been really fun. I like giving stuff away. I'm a gift giver, and so that's been really fun to do.
It is a good time to be able to do that. And surprisingly, people love it. Even if it's just a coffee mug or a pen, it's like, I got this funeral home pen. How cool. Especially when you're a student and you're just starting out.
Yes.
It's like when you get your very first box of business cards. How exciting of a day is that?
I know. It means it's like you're in the club. So like you're getting in there and you're getting your stuff. It's really fun.
That's great. Well, Kari, thank you again. I love having you out here. I can't wait to we get through the whole Rona deal and we can get back together and actually meet live. But
I know.
Until then, this is working wonderful, and we want to get you out here one of these days. Hopefully, if you get out to Washington, we'd love to put you in with, we've just opened up the door for alkaline hydrolysis. We just opened up the door for composting. We call it natural organic reduction. And we've got a few people out here that are starting that process or getting ready to start. So we want to get you out here and get you with them and
love to
maybe go from that direction. So again, Kari, wonderful to meet you. Happy, excited that you are here with us, and thank you for coming out
Thank you.
and doing what you're
Appreciate
doing.
it. Yeah. Bye,
All
guys.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been another Member Talk. As always, we'd love to have you join us. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, all those things that you're supposed to do. And you can see all of our videos. Click over to Kari Northey, Kari the Mortician, on YouTube, and you will get all sorts of opportunities to see videos on just about anything you can think of. So thanks again, Kari. We'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye.